Hi guys, Shakey Nan again. Hope you've had a good week. Today, firstly, I got all carried away the other day and lost to how I even started the video. So I want to thank Adam for sending me that letter. And I hope that it helped a little bit. And I hope today's conversation I'm going to have with you it helps a bit more. I'm going to talk today about how I've lived with it all my life. Like I said before, from when I was a kid, I've always shook when I've done little things. Of course, it was never this bad, but you would notice it. My mum said she would notice it if my older brother and I, the instigator, he was, would get in trouble. I would quiver, she would call it. People thought I was nervous. Even Donna, when I had a coffee with her last week, she said, Mum and I spoke about it and we don't remember you shaking, but they looked past it. And when I was young, it was when I would do little things, especially in class, people would notice it. It was always, what are you shaking for? And I've always had low blood pressure, so my hands were always cold. So I'd always say, I'm just cold, I'm always cold. And I'd touch people with my hands and they'd say, oh, you're freezing, how are your hands that cold? But that was my little trick I learnt when I was a kid. Also, I'd say, I don't know, I just shake. And that was my go-to most of my life. I know a lot of people that I went to school with are probably going to watch these, so I don't want anyone to take anything to heart what I say. Through high school, it was tough. You know, the kids you hung around, they knew. It did embarrass a few of them. I did sort of not have a tough time. I liked high school, and I liked all the friends that I hung with, but I hung with a lot of different groups. I never had one group. I did have a couple of girlfriends that I'd hang with for a while, but it didn't last forever. So, you know, once your shakes get too much, they start laughing at you, then it's time to move on. And you get that a lot. I would get that with boyfriends as well. As soon as they'd want to hold hands, you'd basically have to dump them because you didn't want them knowing about your tremors. I got married when I was young. I got married when I was 19. I had a lot of trouble signing the marriage certificate. It should have been assigned back then. Then I had kids straight away, basically. So then I was pregnant. That was another excuse, or I had a baby in my hand. So I was, always cold. I love winter. You can always blame the cold in winter. Australian summers, you can't always blame the cold. So you just end up saying, I don't know, I just shake. I had 3 kids in 2 years and 9 months. And then my first husband and I split. I was shaking, not this bad, but noticeable then. It was always noticeable, but more often, especially having 2 toddlers and trying to hold a newborn. It was always, your hands were always moving, so it was more noticeable. 6 weeks after I split up with my first husband, I met Shane. And when he noticed it, I said to him, oh, don't mind my shakes, that's just me, I just shake. And he said, I just thought you were excited to see me. Well, it was that too, but I do shake. And it's never been a problem for him. He's never worried about it. He's always been there to help me with anything. All I have to do is give him that look and he's straight there by my side, and he's my rock. He's my everything. When the kids were young, it was tough with them at school school events were always tough. I remember one day, and I can't believe this is going to make me tear. I remember one day I went to school because the kids were in kindergarten, because Shane had a son that was 6 weeks older than my son. So we had 4 kids under the age of 2 and 9 months. And our 2 boys were in kindergarten together, and they wanted me to go and do the reading with the class. So I did, and it was the first and last time. Every kid it was hilarious to them. And, you know, I know they're just little kids in kindergarten, but it hurt because I'm trying to get them to read the book, and they were just laughing at me because I couldn't even hold the book. You know, little things like that. Kids have been cruel over the years, but you learn to live with it. And we were very lucky. I was very fortunate that, you know, our parents and all the kids and families that we grew up with in Phillip Street, everyone had such a great sense of humour, and that's what's carried me through. It was easier to bring it up and laugh about it in front of kids before they laughed at me for it. So if I was at school and I went to pick up something and I shook, I'd say, "Whoa, hold on to it there, girlie," and make them laugh with me while I was laughing, and that sort of broke the ice. But a lot of people were very cruel as well, especially the people that didn't know you that well. So it's been tough and then Shane and I had our daughter, and so with 5 kids through school and all their school events, and everyone was tough because, you know, you're shaking, you shake more, you're sitting there, you know, there's in the auditorium with all seats, and you're sitting there, you know there's people behind you and they're watching your head bounce, and that's anywhere you go. I find funerals, I'm very bad at shake the whole time, and I know the people, and maybe they're not, but you just feel in yourself that every eye is on you behind you, and they're not taking any notice of what's going on in the room bar you, and that's the way you feel. You know, over my life, when I was finally diagnosed at about 25, it was only that I went to a neurologist for something else. And she said to me, "What's with your shakes?" And I said, "Oh, I've always shook, just like I've always said." And she said, "Well, let's check this out." And from my childhood, like, we were always at doctors, you were always hurting yourself, or, you know, your appendix out and things like that. Then I've had 4 kids of my own, and all the doctor appointments through pregnancies, the births, their appointments as kids, my appointments for anything for me. Not one doctor besides her has ever said to me, "What's with your shakes?" So once I got diagnosed, I tried the medications and they didn't help me. It was way too many, and it was, like I've said before, 10 milligram tablets. I was taking 44 in one go to sit at home, and to me that wasn't worth it. I didn't want to live on those pills, and they didn't even really stop my shakes completely. With low blood pressure, I had to take 10 milligrams each day and build up each day. So it took me 44 days to finally get to the dosage, and I didn't want to keep going anymore because I had to have someone with me each day to make sure I wasn't going to pass out with my low blood pressure, because those beta blockers lower your blood pressure even more. So I didn't want to live like that. So I threw the tablets, and I've never been to a doctor since for my ET. I found out what the name was. I live with it. You know, and I'm not putting any of the doctors down, but I know more about this than they do. They're reading it from textbooks. They're learning it from a teacher. You know, they're not living it, and I'm living it, and I can live with it. I'm one of the lucky ones. And, you know, since doing these videos, I consider myself blessed. I consider myself blessed that I'm alive for ET, because I would really love to Zoom one day with someone that has recently got it or it has changed their whole life completely, because I don't know that side. This is my story, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone that has just got it, because this is how, you know, I've had it all my life. I haven't lived a life without it. So it's hard for me to relate. It breaks my heart how it must have been such a big change that you didn't have it, then you did. It's a big life changer. And, you know, now I'm completely lost again. I'm sorry. It's yeah, I'm not putting anything on the doctors, you know. This is just the way that I live with it. I don't need a doctor. I'm not in pain by it, with it. I just shake. I have ET. That is all. I shake. If I was in pain, it would probably be a different story. It's not terminal. It's not going to kill me. I can live with this, and I can live with it each day. And each day, I wake up, I know I'm going to shake. I've shook all my life. It's not a big thing to me. It is frustrating sometimes, and I remember when the kids were little and they'd all be whinging at me, and I'd probably be trying to do up their buttons or something and getting frustrated, and I'd snap, and then I'd think later on, I was frustrated at myself. I wasn't frustrated at them. And now I don't, from then on, I snap myself out. Don't take it out on anyone else. It's not their problem. This is me. This is who I am. Yeah, it's frustrating, but getting angry with it is only going to make it worse. It's not going to fix the problem. The other day I pulled something little apart and tried to put it back together, and I had to put this little tiny O-ring back in this thing. No one else was home. It was either do it or wait. So I'd try. I'd put it down, think, yeah, I'll leave that for Shane. And then I'd sit there for 5 minutes and I'd pick it back up again, try again. I'm just not going to get it. Leave it for Shane. Then 10 minutes later, I'll give it another try. It took me an hour, but I got it. And I didn't, that was one thing less Shane had to do when he got home. You can do it. It's just, put it off. Don't get angry with it. And I know that's coming from a lifer ETer again, which is totally different to a newbie that's still in that anger. And I'm sorry I can't tell your story. I hope this helps to maybe let go of a bit of that anger and realise that, we shake. It's okay. You just adjust that little bit more each time you do things. Once again, guys, I'll replay it and see what I said. I hope you have a great shaky weekend. I will see you on Tuesday. Let's do something fun on Tuesday. I'll think about on the weekend what we can do. And all these things that I'm trying with you are things that, like shaving my legs, I haven't done that for years. I've used the electric razor. So I'm going to try things with you that I haven't tried for years. And let's see how it goes. So let's have some fun Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely shaky weekend. And I will see you then. Bye, guys.